Gentlemen, what is happening? I have a very special guest in the minivan today, Antonio Centeno. All right, guys, so for those of you who don't know, which I don't know how you don't know, Antonio and I, over the years, have become incredibly great friends. He's one of my best friends, and we do a lot of stuff together. Well, one of the things that we are doing this weekend is actually going to Tennessee to meet up with a bunch of the other influencers that typically come to StyleCon. There's this guy that does this club, and it's like a guy's weekend, and so we're headed up there. We're going to see who's going to be up there.
Eric, a Beard Brand, Annie Snavely, Primer Magazine, Baron, the Effortless Gent, Ryan Masters, Sparta Strength, Brock over at the Modest Man. I mean, that's just the tip. They got the guy
AJ, Art of Charm. So there's like 12 of us that are going up to this sort of, it's like a campground, and we don't know what to expect. We don't have really high expectations, and originally Antonio wasn't going to be going. And it was just me, and I called him desperate. I was like, listen, man, I can't go to this thing alone. And so he actually stepped up to the plate and did me a solid, and actually booked a ticket. And so now we're driving up to Tennessee from Atlanta, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity, since I had him one-on-one and we were driving, to film a video, because I always need content, and the content never stops, but also a great opportunity to ask Antonio some questions. You know, you don't really get a great sense of his personality from his YouTube videos. No offense, dude.
No. I am an educator. You know, that's, I try to get you guys information over on my channel. I don't have the entertainment personality that Aaron has, and that's, I think there were a couple great questions, and that's a great segue. One of them is, you know, what's your competitive advantage?
Well, hold on, we got to set this up. They have no idea where these questions are coming from. I posted a picture. I basically took a selfie this morning when we got in the van of him and I on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, guys, there's a link down below to go check it out, along with RMRS down below. But I posted a picture of us, and I said, hey, if you've got a question for Antonio, let us know. And you guys have crushed it with incredible questions.
They were good.
So I thought it'd be the perfect opportunity for you guys to get a better feeling for Antonio and just to learn a little bit more about him. There are some questions in there that I'll help respond to as well, but today we're on a road trip. Figured no better time to ask some questions and do this. And so, Antonio, are you ready?
I'm hoping that you just don't kill us, Aaron, because you are driving all over the road.
I need to focus. All right, guys, so now Antonio is going to read some of your questions, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. Antonio, first question.
All right, this is from Aki Ashay, and how did you guys meet? So that's a great question, a good one to start with.
Okay, I used to hate Antonio. I thought I had to. Years ago, you know, I saw him, he was making YouTube videos, and that was at the point where I still considered him competition, and competition was bad, and I need to protect what I built. And so I was very sort of anti-Antonio. And one day, what happened?
You asked me to use my information, and I said no.
Yeah, I had a website, and I actually was looking for content, and I saw all his content because he wrote for The Art of Manliness. And I reached out, I'm like, hey, can I use some of your content? And he told me no.
I don't remember this, but I do know that he remembers this. So, I mean, I just ask. I can't imagine that I would say no.
You said no.
I guess I did. So. And yeah, so that was your first impression.
That was my first impression of Antonio. He denied me content.
But see, I knew who Aaron was because he was an inspiration to me. I'm watching him do really great on the videos. Now, I'm writing content at The Art of Manliness. I have my own blog over at Tailored Suit. I had started writing at Real Men Real Style, but I realized that writing content, I wasn't connecting with my audience the way I could on video. And I saw this guy over on YouTube get over 1 million views. Next thing I know, he's at 4 million views, and I'm like, I could do this. Like, and in fact, I felt that this guy was way too fashion forward. I felt he didn't know crap, And I'm like, I can.
He
do
was
a
pretty
better
much
job.
accurate.
Yeah, I'm like, I can do better than this guy. So my wife told me to shut up, you know, or
Put up or shut up,
put up or
Antonio.
shut up. Yep, that's what
in
she
her
said.
Ukrainian voice.
Yep, and that's what I did. So I started making videos, and then all of a sudden I realized it's a lot of work. It's hard,
And I make it look super easy.
and I got more in common with this guy than I do have. Like, I mean, we just realized that when you start doing something, you can commiserate with this other person, and you realize he's not a competitor. We're both in a growth market.
Hey, we need to keep these answers a little shorter if we're going to get more than like 3 in this video.
Okay, but yeah, so we decided.
He reached out and said, hey, I'm going to be going to VidCon. Why don't you come out and meet me? And we can do a meetup. And I was at first a little bit hesitant. I don't know. And I decided, you know what? Why not? And when he would call me, I used to say to my wife, he can't be as nice as he seems. There's got to be an ulterior motive. And honest to God, that was the most unbelievable thing, is that I realized that he is absolutely that nice, and we've been the best of friends ever since. And it's really been amazing having him to just talk to on a weekly basis, because being a YouTuber, being a content creator in this space is difficult, and you don't have, you know, a lot of people. And so it's awesome.
And probably looking back, I guess if there is an ulterior motive, it's simply, I like to surround myself with smart people, and I knew that at some point we would just do something would come of our friendship. So Menfluential, StyleCon, all of these very, I mean, just successful businesses have come out of us.
Because we actually own 2 businesses together. We own StyleCon, which, guys, if you are, StyleCon is less than 6 months away. So if you guys can get your ass there, there's a link down below. We're only selling 300 tickets, and it will change, literally, it will change your life. The friendships, the relationships. It's a 2-day event in February. What is it, the 3rd and the 4th?
Yeah.
Guys, there's a link down below to check it out and to buy your tickets, because they will sell out. We've already sold like 200, so there are only about 100 left. So you want to grab them. They're discounted. It's inexpensive. Guys, get to Atlanta. Antonio, question number 2. We got to keep these little shorter.
Okay,
So.
yeah.
What is your philosophy on life? No. Competitive advantage. That was one I saw.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I want to say their name too. Would you say?
It's okay.
Okay. Who would you say has better style?
No,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
What are the main differences in your style? What are the main differences in your style choices?
No.
What do you think of graphic T-shirts?
No.
Spell wrote opinion on ripped jeans. Adorable. How did you guys meet? We talked about it. How did you meet your wife, Antonio? Now, why doesn't he grow a beard?
Why don't you, Antonio?
Yeah.
Why don't you grow a beard?
Do you want to ask that?
I just did.
no.
We're filming.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. Why don't you wear a beard?
Okay, yeah, so we got a question about why. I think the question was to you because you just got this scruff on there. But I'll answer why I don't grow a beard. Simply put,
Would you cover up this handsomeness? I got a lot to cover.
Yeah.
So I need the beard.
you know, my father has grown a beard. My brother has grown a beard, both of my brothers. And it's just something I've never really felt a need for. I've seen them become popular. So I have to admit, I'm kind of anti-trend. I try not to follow things. At some point, I'm going to. But I do have the fear, and I know a lot of you guys out there have this, where you start to grow it, and within a week or 2 weeks, you give up on it. And that's consistently happened to me. At this point, it just hasn't been a priority for me. I also have bald spots on my face.
Okay. So he's not going to grow one yet. But here's the deal. Brought up another great question. Antonio, siblings, you've got some.
I do.
What do you got?
Got 2 brothers and 3 sisters. And
Wow,
yeah.
big family. Did you grow up with tons of money?
No, not a whole lot of money at all. I can see where you're going with this.
Oh,
one,
really?
yeah.
All right, so one of the things that I have been very vocal about, and not like screaming it from the rooftop, but I tell people about sort of my upbringing, and one of the things that I feel is my advantage is that I didn't grow up with much. I had support, I had love, I have all that, but in terms of material possessions, I grew up pretty poor. We were on welfare and all that good stuff. And Antonio, it's funny, but you actually grew up in a similar situation.
Yeah. We grew up in a trailer park in West Texas, and we never had any money for anything. I mean, breakfast was what we called poor man's breakfast, where you took bread and you broke it up and you poured sugar on it, put some milk, because we couldn't afford cereal. Although occasionally we would get the Cheerios, but not true Cheerios, actually the kind, the generic kind.
And
so,
like,
yeah.
And the other story, like he's told me a bunch of stories, but one of the other stories is the truck driving to church.
Yeah, we ride in the back of a truck. I mean, we had four kids and 2 adults, and we only had room in the front. So I remember it was snowing and having to bundle up in jackets and put blankets and ride in the back of a pickup truck 30 miles to church.
Did you change any of it?
Looking back, I can't change any of it. So I really don't, I don't focus in on that kind of a question. But it made me who I am. It also made me, I think, a little bit more. I find I can just take the punches a little bit easier. I also know what I value and what's important to me. And no, I guess I wouldn't change any of it.
The answer you're searching for is absolutely not, because that has built you into the person you are, and without that, you wouldn't necessarily have the drive and the motivation that you do in order to succeed in that hunger.
That's a great answer.
That's my answer. You got one?
Yeah, okay, so question number 3 by Jake Marby.
Is that 3 or 4?
I think this is 3. So, Antonio, with men's style channels and pages on the rise, what was your thought process when you decided to throw your hat in the ring? Who was your inspiration? Love both channels. Well, I kind of alluded to it earlier, is Aaron, definitely on video, was my inspiration to get started. Not so much inspiration, but I saw it and I said, I can do better. I can, and
so actually, I wasn't his inspiration. I was his inspiration for good.
Yeah, it was kind of like a, hey, I see the success this guy's having. I have my own unique approach. And so there was also a question about competitive advantage. I'm going to throw it all together. That was the thing, is that
somebody asked what Antonio's competitive advantage is.
And what yours is as well. And I think part of that is we are who we are. We each have a unique history. We talked about a little bit about that earlier, but I also had started up a custom clothier. So I had experience making clothing, working with tailors. I had built up thousands of wardrobes at that point. And I was more classic style. So I had a military background. I was familiar with uniforms, military history, that type of etiquette and protocol. And so leveraging that, I knew that I would stand apart. But I mean, with you, Aaron, I mean, you've got a very different background. You can talk about fitness and bring that in like I can. I mean, all these questions about fitness, I don't know nearly as much as you do. I mean, this is one of your competitive advantages.
And I also will talk about anything.
All right, so the question from Hugo was simply, if you weren't running a YouTube channel, what would you be doing? Before I started in YouTube, I had a custom clothier, but I have to admit that probably wasn't my big dream. What I've been interested in nowadays is working with veterans to help them transition out of the military and use their skill sets. So I started a podcast over at High Speed Low Drag that I've been really proud of. Worked with a number of other veterans and trying to open up their eyes to the potential. I also run a website with my wife called Bilingual Kids Rock. So we help families set up systems to raise bilingual children. The two connections between these two very different businesses is probably I'm passionate about both of them, and that I see the potential to solve a problem that people are willing to pay for. And yeah, that's probably what I'd be doing. What about you?
I'd be homeless. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I definitely wouldn't be in the fitness industry, that is for sure.
All right, guys, we're going to end this with a really good question. The very real Mike. Do you find a deep meaning in what you do? And I do. I know for me, it comes down to, and it's evolved over the years, but it used to be, and I admit, when I started off, I was a mercenary. When I started my custom clothier, I saw an opportunity. I thought I could make a lot of money, start this business. But when I realized that what I was doing was helping men, it wasn't about the clothing. It was about how they use the clothing to get what they wanted out of life. Nowadays, I say, I use video. I use my infographics to help men create a wardrobe, give them the tools to use clothing as a weapon to get what they want out of life. So I've kind of melded that, and when I say that, I truly believe it. I know it because I get these emails, I get the letters, I get the gifts from people, and they're sending me this stuff, and they're saying, hey, I stepped up my style game, and because of that, all of a sudden, my wife, was attracted to me again. I got a job, which honestly, I didn't even think I was qualified for, but by dressing sharp, I portrayed confidence. People believed me to be confident, and then I believed. I actually, got better. I started studying more, and so I look at this as what I do as a catalyst. And if you're not familiar, a catalyst is something you put into a mix, and it actually has everything mixed together better. So knowing that's why I get excited, and there's deep meaning to what I do. What about you?
Me? You guys see me cry every video, and I'm not crying this time. You know how much I love doing this and love you and all that good stuff. And so I get more meaning from this than anything else in my life right now. And I'm not talking about like family and stuff like that, but I mean, this, I can't imagine ever not doing this because of how much I love doing this. And so it's, you're stuck with me for a while. You're going to be with me as long as you'll have me. I'm going to be like the one knocking on your door even when you leave and like, come back.
We've talked about this. We're going to like age with our audience.
Exactly. We're all going to age together. So in like 20 years, it's going to be like best depends for, not showing in your slim fit khakis. Anyway, Antonio, thank you, sir. Gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed to Antonio's channel, it's listed and linked down in the description. And StyleCon, if you can get there, dude, do not be sitting on your ass on February, what is it, 3rd and 4th?
February 3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th thinking, oh, I wish I could. No, do it now. Do not procrastinate. Get your ass to StyleCon. We would love to meet you, shake your hand, and you will make some incredible friendships that will last a lifetime. Gentlemen, thanks for watching. Well done.